Get those barrels stowed, forward!
I beg your pardon, sir. I beg your pardon for waking you. But I believe this is to be my berth. And is this your sea chest? Then I'd be grateful if you could move it.
Huh?
Immediately, if that's convenient to you.
I have long legs.
Yes. So I see.
I must stretch.
Oh, I'm sure the captain could find room in the hold. For the sea chest.
I'm strong.
Then it would be no trouble for you to move it.
Very strong.
But unobservant.
Gentlemen, Mr. Vanderbricken.
Oh, this gentleman and I were just making each other's acquaintance. But don't be alarmed, sir. The pistol isn't loaded. My name is Hawkins. And you must be the Reverend Morgan.
What? Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Delighted
Hans Vanderbricken.
I joked with you. You like the joke, that's good.
And you may squeal some more, my fine gallows jumper, before you sees the sun again. And as for you, Silver, I've got your measure.
I reckons not, Master Gridley, or you'd act more prudent.
I ain't afeard of no old cripple with one leg. And that in irons. Bosun.
Ben, I knowed I could trust you. Ben Gunn, he would never want to forget an old shipmate.
This here is out of bounds to passengers, Mr. Silver, and that's what I be, a passenger.
So you is. But I ain't gonna blab now. You lay to that.
Oh, aye, but t'other, him you sent to fetch me.
Don't you look for no squalt in that quarter. Ain't nothing like gold to batten down the hatch of an honoured seaman.
I ain't afeard of you, Silver.
Afeard of me? I hopes not.
This ain't the Walrus.
It ain't.
Flint ain't captain, and you ain't quartermaster.
I reckon that's right. I reckon John Silver ain't in no position to ask a favour of Ben Gunn.
He ain't at that.
Aye, he ain't. 'Twere different once. Time was when you'd have jumped when Silver barked, or seen your tribes fed to the sharks. But now, if I were to ask you to slip ashore, well, I reckon you'd shake your head. And if I were to tell you to cut along to the old Spyglass Inn and fetch me a bottle of grog, our particular bottle that they has a-waiting for me, well, I reckon you'd laugh. And if I were to offer you this gold doubloon for your trouble, well, I reckon you'd spit in my eye.
Ben? Ben? Ben! Ben!
Cast up the gaskets! Shake out the forecast! Main course! Get lively here now!
What on earth's become of Mr. Gray?
You were acquainted with him?
No, but...
Well, the owners have asked me to replace him at short notice. As I believe they say in their letter to you, I naturally assumed that they had informed you of Gray's accident.
They sing your praises, Mr. Moxon. I'm glad to welcome you aboard the Saracen. Poor Gray. What an unhappy start to a voyage.
Yes, when do we weigh, sir?
Couple of hours, with the tide. Whoa!
Help me down, please. Thank you.
Now remember who you are and where you are. See to the baggage, my man, and quick about it. My good fellow, be good enough to inform the captain of my arrival, Miss MacPhail.
I'm Captain Parker. At your service, ma'am.
You'll have had my letter. This is Senorita Isabella Zorilla.
May I welcome you both aboard the Saracen?
I am her governess and companion, and personally responsible to her uncle, His Excellency Don Jaime de Pochero, for her well-being.
She could not be in safer hands, I'm sure.
Aye, well, so long as that's understood. I would like to inspect our quarters immediately.
Certainly. Gridley, quarters.
This way, ladies.
Good day to you, ladies. Mr. Moxon, first mate. To service at all times.
Ah, well, your service was standing out of the way.
Shall I muster hands to the captain, sir?
In due time, Mr. Moxon.
Oh, miss the tide, sir.
You seem devilish anxious to put to sea.
Well, I'll be frank with you, sir. I'm no landsman and never was. Rum sort of fellow?
Hawkins' servant. He seems half-witted.
Is there no lock to the door?
Now, Mom,
And do you expect a lady to sleep at night with no locked door?
I'm sure you'll have no trouble, Mom.
I'll be having words with your captain.
Excuse me, Mr. Hawkins. Day to you, Lieutenant. Well done.
Sir?
Yes, Mr. Moxon, you may muster the hands. We sail immediately.
Mr. Greatley?
There's the captain! Let lively now, you lovers!
Special, that was a word, Mr. Silver.
Ben, you're keel and plank uncorking, so you are.
If Jim Hawkins ever got wind of this.
Not from this quarter he won't. Nor from them neither.
On this here cruise, I be passenger. Don't you go forgetting that.
So you be, Ben, so you be.
Raise the yards to port.
Brace the yards to port! Brace the yards to port!
Unbrail the spanker.
Unbrail the spanker! Unbrail the spanker! All hands to the braces! All hands to the braces!
Let go and haul, Mr. Moxon.
Let go springs and haul away, Mr. Gridley! Let go springs and haul away!
Stout timbers and the lap of the waves. That's music, that is, mates.
Aye, a slow drum at a graveside.
Be a croaker if you will, Ned. I drinks to a prosperous cruise.
Prosperous?
Aye, that's the word. Prosperous. This particular cruise now, it's like a lottery, mates. And the prize goes to him who bides his time.
Lower those lines down! And your butts into it, you swabs!
Trimly set, Mr. Moxon. As trim as I like. You're a seaman, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'll take over. You can go below. Steady she goes, Mr. Richards.
Steady she goes, sir.
You found your sea legs, Reverend?
Mr. Hawkins. Yes, indeed. The good Lord has blessed me with a seagoing constitution. An example of divine mercy since he's called me to his work in distant places.
So, perhaps you search for more buccaneer treasure? I've been a trader in the Caribbean for 20 years. I've heard that story.
What trade are you in, Mr. Vanderbilt?
Wood. Fine wood. To make pretty things for lords and ladies and princes and kings. It's ridiculous,
Why?
Because it's hard. And dangerous. Every day I risk my life.
Baker! You've no business here.
Captain sent me to fetch his snuff box, beg me pardon, sir.
I see. Well, carry on. I'm a great reader, Baker.
Aye, sir.
Well, I'm sure the captain would have no objection. But since I've not yet asked him...
I won't say anything, sir.
Good. I'd rather you didn't.
So, lads, a journey may be long, but he's a clever man, but knows what's
Silver?
the end of it. Hey,
Long John!
Jim!
You said you'd rather hang. What made you change your mind?
Do you recall your words, Jim? Where there's a breath, there's a hope. Well, I took to pondering on that, and I says to myself, Silver, Jim Hawkins has the right of it.
Well, after all, life, even a slave's life, is full of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, enjoy your meal, gentlemen.
Good God.
Gentlemen, I apologize.
It is horrible. But many times in the forest I've been starving, so when I have food, I eat it.
Yes, but even so. Oh, if they're serving this to the hands, there'll be a mutiny.
My compliments, Captain. Most sustaining.
By the powers! It stinks worse than the bilgers.
It's good enough for the likes of ye.
Call yourself a sea cook. I've been a sea cook in my time, and this here slop of yours, it ain't fit to feed a pig.
And if it ain't, it's still too good for you. But I'm a charitable man. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll season your supper for you, Silver. Until such times as you learn to keep a civil tongue in your head. Starve you like. In a week, you'll be begging me for the worms from the biscuits.
Is that right, Master Cook? A week, you say? Well, now, there's food for thought for a hungry man.
Will you stop your fretting and fidgeting? Have you no consideration for my nerves?
I've done nothing but consider them since I was 5 years old.
Have no stomach for a sea voyage. And I never had.
It might be more tolerable if we could dine with the gentlemen.
With the young gentlemen, I suppose you mean. I'd have thought you'd have learned enough about young gentlemen to wish to avoid their company.
Oh, that's just what you'd like, isn't it? Nothing would please you more than to turn me into a dried-up old maid. Like you.
No. No, mine's a fate I wouldn't wish on anybody. You least of all.
Senorita Mac, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I didn't mean it.
Wished. I understand. I've never been a mother to you, but I've honored their last wish. I've done my duty by you. And that duty isn't discharged until you're safe delivered to your uncle in Mexico.
Mexico. I might as well be locked up in a convent. Do you think he's rich?
Your uncle? I hope so, considering the money I'm owed.
Not my uncle. Mr. Hawkins.
And that was what I first put to sea in.
I propose a traditional toast, gentlemen. Damnation to Spain.
I drink to that.
Mr. Moxon, may I remind you we are at peace with Spain?
At peace? With every Spaniard looking for an English throat to cut and every English looking for a Spanish ship to sink. I've suffered from the Spaniards.
Good evening, Senorita Isabella. It's a beautiful evening.
The breeze is too cold. I shall go to my cabin.
It's a pity you're never able to dine with us.
But you see, I am spoiled. In my father's palace in Sevilla, I learned to appreciate the conversation of noblemen, poets, scientists.
You think we'd bore you?
Or the others, certainly. But not you, perhaps. You were at Oxford.
Oh, you've been inquiring about me.
Your father must be an important man.
Well, he's been dead many years. But yes, he was the most important man in our part of the country.
The squire?
No, much more important than the squire. He kept the only inn for miles about.
An innkeeper? You don't look like an innkeeper's son.
How many do you know?
I number only gentlemen among my acquaintance. I mistook you for a gentleman.
Well, you're wiser now.
Man overboard! Man overboard! Man overboard! Man overboard!
Throw him a line! Over there! The stern! Back the stern! Get the boat up! Get the boat!
Man overboard!
Who is it?
I reckon 'twere the cook.
Cook.
Jim, top of the morning to you.
Well, I might have guessed. Breakfast this morning was a feast.
Why, thank ye, Jim. If I do say so, I shouldn't. Long John's hand ain't lost none of its cunning wi' a skillet.
Remarkable coincidence that the cook should go overboard.
Ah, Jim. I never thought as I'd thank the Lord for being clapped in irons. For if so be as I hadn't been, well, I reckon there'd be some folk that'd be entertaining dark suspicions of John Silver.
Good day, Mr. Hawkins.
Morning, Captain.
Silver.
Remarkable.
Thank ye, Captain.
The berth's yours if you want it. It confers no special privilege, and if you abuse my trust...
Oh, no fear of that, sir. A whiff of sea breeze, that's privilege enough for me.
I should think it is, but in case it isn't, Mr. Gridley here has orders to watch you like a hawk. Take him below now, Mr. Gridley.
Aye, aye, sir.
God bless you, Captain.
God bless ye, Captain.
That sort of washed me full, Parker. But it don't fool me, Silver. One hint of trouble out of you, and I'll be a second sea cook over the side.
I ain't never seen a one-legged man swim.
Somebody's hash tonight, Silver. Belay that talk! I say we took enough. I say we axe now. I'll be captain here. Unless you has a mind to challenge that, Jake. Ye misbegotten fools. 10 of us against a whole ship's company. If you has a fancy to dance at the yard's end, I don't. We waits for the odds to shift.
Says you. And what's to shift 'em?
Why, Bosun Gridley himself, of course. You think he deals any gentler with the hands than he deals with us? Not him. Give me a month, a storm and heat and thirst, and Master Gridley's cat-o'-nine-tails, and the hands will pipe me aboard the quarter-deck like a blessed admiral.
Brace the yards to port! Brace the yards to port! Come on, you scum! Hey! Put your backs into it!
Shouldn't you stay out of the heat?
For me, the sunshine is like wine. In Scotland, I never saw the sun. Always it rained.
Still, too much wine and...
Of course, you would know. An innkeeper's son.
Yes, it was a useful upbringing.
But now you are rich. And a scholar.
Tell me, is money and education enough to make a gentleman?
A true gentleman would not need to ask.
Or perhaps not. Unless he already knew the answer.
Mr. Hawkins. Don't you ask me to pray for wind now. I've prayed so hard for a week, I expect the good Lord to send us a hurricane.
Get the yard out, Bryce!
Simpson, belay that sheet.
Aye, sir.
Call that shipshape! Simpson, you look like a man with a thirst.
Aye, sir.
Go and draw yourself an extra ration of water. Only a half mug, mind. After you've belayed that sheet, Bristol fashion.
Aye, sir.
Look lively there now!
Mutiny dog, I think.
Simpson, first-rate seaman. It's the heat. Affects us all.
Perhaps we all boil over soon.
What the devil are you doing in here, Moxon?
Examining the chart, sir.
I can see that. Why?
Well, navigation is my passion, sir.
Really? Kept it pretty well hidden the last month and a half.
But I did not wish to trespass on your preserve, sir.
Trespass all you will in this heat. Take over, will you?
Certainly, sir.
Morning.
It's brine.
Foul my decks, would you, Simpson? I'll have the skin off your back.
I meant no disrespect, Mr. Gridley, sir, but this water ain't fit to drink.
That's you, Simpson. Forever griping and moaning. Some like brackish? Sweet enough for forecastle scum. Drink it!
It ain't fit, sir.
I'll have no more than waste on my ship. Now drink it, you scum!
I won't.
You won't. Now scrub your filth off my deck and drink half rations till you knows your duty. You won't talk so saucy with your tongue cleaving to your mouth. Oh, no! You'll pay for this with your hide, Simpson.
I'll pay with my neck.
Simpson! You be quick!
Did he strike you, Mr. Gridley?
Aye, sir, he did.
He provoked it. That's right, sir. 50 lashes, Simpson. Tomorrow noon. Now take him along. Put him in irons.
Gridley provoked it!
Be thankful I don't hang you.
That's right, sir. And remember them words of yours, Roberts.
Roberts. When'd you whistle with this, mate? Aye, pure as spring water. Ain't no liquor tastes sweeter to a thirsty man as good water. And this here, this is what you might call particular special reserve. Aye, for the officers. And they don't eat no biscuit neither. Nuts and dried fruits and all manner of dainties. That's Parker style.
You're a damn fool, Moxon. Prolonged heat turns a ship's company into a powder keg. One spark of flogging, for instance, and we could have a mutiny on our hands.
Sir, Gridley was being attacked.
Gridley is a competent boatswain, but he's also a brute.
I felt obliged to back him.
And I suppose you feel I'm obliged to back you. You joined my ship with a first-class testament from the owners. Experience and judgment. I must confess I find scant evidence of either.
These gentlemen be of like mind to you?
He's ready to hear what you has to say, Silver. Like myself. Listen, mind. I say nothing more than listen.
Very prudent, Master Roberts. And with John Silver, that's a virtue. Now then, I'll speak straight. There's a dozen in the prison hold, ready to fight alongside you for your rights.
You'll not take this ship with 20 hands.
Taking ships like any other trade. And I ain't no apprentice by the powers. I got my knowledge from a master. Aye, and his name were Captain Flint.
Look, I ain't saying we can't do it. But what then? I ain't no buccaneer.
Nor me neither. I'm looking for a fortune, a treasure, as'll make every blessed one of you richer than a lord.
Bilge's talk.
You've a pretty wig, Billy, for such an ugly old barnacle. There's a passenger aboard this ship. Goes by the name of Hawkins. Aye, a rich young gentleman. And I reckons I don't have to tell you how he come by his gold. Aye, Flint's treasure.
That were all took 10 year ago.
Oh, not half, mate. I knows, for I were Flint's quartermaster. The diamonds, the rubies, and the sapphires. They lays there still. 10 long year, I know. But Hawkins had the map, see. He has it still. It's on this ship, Flint's map, and I knows how to read it. So who's with me for Mutiny and Treasure Island and Flint's gems? Hey!
Your taste for brandy, Richard?
Brandy, sir? Aye, I has.
Thought as much. So have I. You'll find a bottle in my cabin. And 2 glasses.
Aye, aye, sir.
Nothing.
You'll get back to this
Be still, or go and watch.
What doth the Lord require but to do justly and to love mercy?
Scupper the old fool.
No! He's Hawkins, mate. We keep him to use. In case.
That him secure now.
Mr. Gridley.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Believe that! Hold hard! Now listen to me, mates! Gridley's dead, and justice done. I'm taking this ship. For every man what's against me, there's a boat, and water, and victuals. For every man what's with me, there's a swift cruise, and a fortune at the end of it.
Or a knife in the back, more like.
Deadlock, Jim. I got the captain, and you got the cannon.
And the water. And the food supplies. And we outnumber you 2 to 1.
Aye. But then one of mine's worth 4 of yourn if it comes to a fight.
Oh, we've no intention of fighting. We can afford to wait.
That's a dangerous game, Jim Wayne. And where's the sense? Since you and I can settle the business here and now. Aye. You give me that map of Flint's and,
What?
I takes along boat and 3 men, and you gets Captain Parker safe and sound.
And the rest of the mutineers?
With me gone. They'll parley for terms. You may lay to that.
Well, Jim? Put it to the others. They'll bite if you won't.
You remember Treasure Island? You remember coming to the stockade to seek terms? Remember what Captain Smollett said to you? I'll see you all to Davy Jones.
Listen to me, Jim. I've a fondness for you. More than any other living being save one who goes by the name of John Silver. Stand against me and by the powers, I'll cut you down.
Down! Spaniards, by God! Let me freeze him, son!
Moxon's up to something in the great cabin with the papers.
Moxon.
Tell me exactly who you are.
He's Don Pedro de Cordova, special agent of the King of Spain.
This ship is a prize of war, and you and your men can consider yourselves prisoners of war.
War? Is that what you call it? I call it piracy.
Secret dispatches from the First Lord of the Admiralty to the commander of the Jamaica fleet? When these are read at the Spanish court, there will be war.
Politics. All the big trouble in the world comes from politics.
I blame myself. I should have known that Moxon was a liar and a murderer.
How many Spaniards are there? Jim! Not now, Ben.
What does it matter? We're powerless.
Jim, Ben. Jim, you'd give the eyes out of your head for a brace of pistols and a musket. Now, you won't be denying the truth of that. Well, says you. What's that got to do with Benjamin Gunn? By the powers! They hides them. Benny finds them, and he hides them again.
Ben, there are times when your meddling is nothing short of miraculous.
But there's still a locked door between us and the Spaniards.
Regarding that matter, it may be as I can provide assistance.
I wish to know what your intentions are.
I assure you, ma'am, that Senorita Isabella's safety and comfort are my first consideration. I trust you'll both do me the honor of dining.
Maybe. But I'll sup with a long spoon.
Ooh.
Why so cold? We share the same country of birth.
Yes. But that is all we share.
Your position is hopeless.
Now just you hold hard! All of you! You take my orders, Moxon, or... Jim, Van der Brecken, Morgan, bring up the longboat. Lively, if you please.
And Ben?
I didn't say nothing about Ben Gunn.
If I go, he goes.
Pull away.
Let the girl go. She's no more use to you.
And have Moxon blow us out of the water. Pull away!